There are many internationally recognized emergency signals that you can use when you need assistance at sea. If help is nearby, you can call for assistance by holding up an oar, slowly raising and lowering your outstretched arms, continuously sounding a horn or another sound signaling device, showing a V sheet, repeating any signal 3 times, such as 3 whistle blasts, or 3 torch or mirror flashes. If help is not nearby, you can use your radio to give an all stations call on a distress frequency to attract the attention of land stations and any other boats in your area. If the emergency is serious, you can set off the appropriate handheld distress flare. Or if you're in a life-threatening situation, you can activate your emergency position indicating radio beacon, or EPIRB for short. A mobile phone can sometimes help you report your plight, but never rely on mobile phones. They're often out of range and batteries can go flat at a crucial time. Handheld distress flares are a visual way of raising the alarm and pinpointing your position to rescuers when they're within sight of the signal being used. All Australian states require recreational powerboats and yachts with motors to carry 2 handheld red flares and 2 orange smoke flares. Which flare do you use when? Orange flares are for daytime use only. This one emits a cloud of vivid expanding smoke which is visible for up to 60 seconds at more than 4 kilometres at sea level and further from aircraft. Red hand flares pinpoint your position to rescuers at night. This red flare emits a brilliant light for 60 seconds that can be seen up to 10 kilometres at sea level and can be used in daylight as well with reduced effect. Parachute red rockets are for longer range signalling at night. This parachute flare lifts its payload to 300 metres, where it deploys a red star flare which burns for 40 seconds and can be seen up to 40 kilometres away at night and 15 kilometres in daylight. How to ignite handheld flares. Flares are dangerous and burn at up to 2000 degrees Celsius. It is important that you follow the manufacturer's instructions. Check that the correct flare has been selected. Before firing a handheld flare, check that rescuers are in your line of sight. This orange flare has a raised O on the cap, so you can identify it in the dark. This red flare has a raised plus on the top, for the same reason. To light this flare, you hold it safely at the base, twist off the top cap, hold the handle with the signal pointing up and away from you. Firmly pull out the yellow igniter knob on top of the flare, up and out of it, in a smooth, steady motion. Hold the lighted signal up high, outboard, on the leeward side of your boat. Dispose of the used signal, which will be very hot, by putting it in water. Other models may be lit by a striker cap. Know what type of flares you have, and read the instructions periodically so that you are prepared for emergencies. Regulations demand that your distress flares are in good order and up to date. Always stow them in a waterproof container which is readily accessible in an emergency. Pyrotechnic flares expire after 3 years, so it is important to check your expiry date every year. EPIRBs. Emergency position indicating radio beacons are rapidly proving to be the best answer to taking the search out of search and rescue. Throughout the world, EPIRBs, as they're called, have had a major impact on reducing the time it takes to effect rescues from days to just hours. They've been instrumental in saving many lives. All Australian states and the Northern Territory require that recreational boats carry an EPIRB when operating beyond a certain distance from the shore. Refer to your safety handbook for specific details. Activated EPIRBs are detected by satellites and overflying aircraft. All alerts in Australia are received by Australian Search and Rescue in Canberra, which then relays them to the appropriate search and rescue authority in each state or territory. EPIRBs transmit on one of 2 frequencies, 121.5 MHz or 406 MHz. The Australian Maritime Safety Authority recommends the use of digital 406 MHz EPIRBs because they can be detected faster and far more accurately than the soon-to-be outdated analogue 121.5 MHz beacons. Their message is, Get a better fix with 406. This 406 MHz EPIRB transmits the vessel's name, country and call sign and gives global coverage. A 406 MHz EPIRB's position can generally be determined to a radius of 5 kilometres. If there's a problem, it eliminates much of the guesswork out of the search. This top-of-the-range 406 MHz EPIRB incorporates a built-in GPS that indicates its position to authorities to within 30 metres. It also has an inbuilt strobe light which is visible for up to 8 kilometres. This 121.5 MHz EPIRB is for coastal navigation. Its position can generally be determined to a radius of 20 kilometres. From February 2009, the satellite system will no longer process the 121.5 MHz frequency. Therefore, the safety authorities suggest that 121.5 MHz beacons are replaced by the more accurate 406 digital beacons well beforehand. For more information, you can contact the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. Contact details are listed at the end of this DVD under Information Sources. This pocket-sized EPIRB is ideal for crew on deck. It can be carried in a pocket or hung around the neck, and is a second EPIRB in the life raft. Your EPIRB must be in a readily accessible position, such as close to a companionway or the steering position, but it must also be stowed in such a way as to avoid accidental activation. This is how you activate this EPIRB. Attach the line to your boat, extend the aerial, turn on the switch, undo the line, allow it to float free. EPIRBs have expiry dates. Test your battery regularly, at least once a month, and have it replaced before it expires. An EPIRB should only be activated in situations where human life is in grave and imminent danger.